Hello again. Last week, we started talking about the problems that arise when we don't use our pelvic region correctly. As you recall, we defined our pelvic region as being part of our torso. So the bottom of our pelvic floor, all the way up to the first vertebrae of our neck is part of our torso. And our legs are a separate structure that is attached to our torso at the hip joint. We also learned that we had a lot of movement in our pelvic region because of the ball and socket joint that we have with our legs, and also the attachment of the lumbar spine, which has a lot of mobility in it as well. That resulted in two issues, that is the Latin hip movement and also having a raised sacrum. Now today, we're also going to talk more about the problems that we have with our pelvic region, specifically something I call the Perky butt. And that is when a sacrum again goes up. And as we talked about last week, this can cause a lot of back pain.
Here is an example of dancing with a perky butt. As you can see, my sacrum is raised and my tailbone is pointing behind me instead of downward. Dancing in this position will cause a lot of stress and pain to the spine.
There are two main causes that can cause women to develop this perky butt. One is a misunderstanding of how we connect with our partner in the embrace when we dance close. The second is she's trying to take a longer step. We'll address both these issues today. Even though these issues affect mostly women, since again, the women are the ones who are walking backwards, I'd still like the gentlemen to watch this so they can understand how they can help their partner avoid having some of these issues. First, let's take a look at how not understanding how we connect to our partner in the embrace can lead to having a perky butt. So the perky butt can occur for several different reasons. The foremost one is not understanding where the connection is with the upper body. If you ever notice salon dancers dancing, or people who dance open I should say, they don't tend to have this problem. The problem happens more often with dancers who are learning close embrace. And what happens is they mistake the connection for being up here, the top of the breast, rather than the middle, right here at the breastbone. Okay? So what happens is that they try to connect from here, and you get this going out, instead of from here and having this be the connection. So if you're dancing this way, I want to give you some information about what happens, okay? Because you're not merely just trying to connect here, but your butt has to go out. If my head goes forward, if my chest goes forward, then this hip joint forms like a pivot point. So as I keep going down and down and down, and I'm pivoting from here, you would notice this angle that my leg is at now. Okay? So to compensate for this weight going forward like this, that means the butt has to go back. Okay? But instead, we want our hip joint, well, we want to use our hip joint, but we want to keep our torso forward.
On the right side of the screen, Sean and I are dancing correctly as I place the center of my breastbone on his chest. On the left side, I am using the top of my chest as our connection point, resulting in a perky butt.
Now, let's take a look at what can cause the second issue of a raised sacrum or perky butt, and that can happen when we're trying to take longer steps.
Here is what it looks like when you raise your sacrum to try to take longer steps.
In order to take a longer step, We have the bend in our knee, we have the rotation of a lumbar, and we also have the projection off of our supporting leg. In this case, it's going to be this leg here. So to take a longer step, I'm going to maintain my torso in a vertical position. I'm going to move from this joint again here, and I'm going to bend the knee. I'm going to rotate that lumbar, and I'm going to project off of that floor. Now you will notice that the bend in my receiving leg is the same bend I had in my projecting leg. That's going to give me a nice smooth walk and not a bounce. So I'm not after this where I'm landing on a straight leg. Rather, I'm looking for this.
Taking longer steps does not require me to raise my sacrum.
Not all tango steps need to be long. Many are actually quite small. But for shorter women in particular, it's important to learn how to take long steps without hurting their back. I'm 5'4", but one of my favorite dance partners is only 4'11", and she takes beautifully long steps when she needs to, and she doesn't have any problems dancing with men who are much taller than she is. To take long steps, one of the big keys is simply to move with confidence and to move with energy. If you don't move with energy, then your steps are going to tend to be smaller. Next week, we'll be looking at issues that can cause you to take smaller steps. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching.